Well, there are three types of people in this world: those who can count and those who can't. But there are different ways that people break down and divide up differences between people like that. One such way is those who plan and organize and strategize, who like very detail oriented and like to have everything all figured out. Some of us are like that. I know that is generally how I am. I see Steve raising his hand in the lobby. And then there are others who like to shoot from the hip, fire ready aim, who like to take life as it comes. And it's funny how wherever you are on that spectrum, we can annoy each other. Like, how could they? A lot of laughter from the front row. She doesn't know me at all. But how could you not plan out something that's important? How could you not have a thoughtful, detailed plan? And then on the other side, well, how can you live your life that way, trying to control everything as if it's within your control? And who wants to live their life stressed out about that and not everything's going to go the way you have planned, and then you've wasted all this time and energy trying to lay everything out? And so on either side of that spectrum, of course, I give two extremes, and we're all going to fall between those two extremes. But I want to say that either wherever you are on that there are strengths and there are drawbacks, there are challenges with however you are wired in terms of planning and organization or shoot from the hip with more flexibility. Rana and I both lean towards being more organized and detail oriented and like to thoughtfully plan ahead, but we don't always do that in the same areas with the same things. And so even though we're both planners, sometimes we can annoy each other in that way. But one area where we are in full agreement with that is how we vacation. I mean, we like to be intentional about planning for a vacation with very limited structure to allow white space in the calendar, to not have every moment all laid out for, okay, we are going to, as soon as we get there, we're going to spend 10 minutes doing this, and then we're going to travel for 25 minutes. Everyone's going to be happy. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to sing this songs on the radio, and then we're going to do this and have every detail all planned out. And by the time you get home, you're more exhausted than you were before you went to vacation. And need a vacation from your vacation. Well, neither of us like to vacation that way. We like to be intentional, to have time to relax, to enjoy our time together, but also have a little bit of structure to make sure we're making the most out of our time that we have at that particular destination. Well, again, however God has wired you, I want you to know that God can and will and is using that wiring. That God has the ability to use a highly detailed plan when it's given over to Him. God also has the ability to take great flexibility and move and radically do things that we never could have done or accomplished, no matter how well we had planned them. I know some pastors really don't like the idea of planning out far ahead or doing even sermon series because they feel like it doesn't leave room for the Spirit to move. But it's funny how we treat other areas of our lives that are important to us, other areas that matter to us, our relationships, our finances, our physical health. We treat other things, even vacations, with a great degree of, okay, we'll be thoughtful and mindful and be good stewards of our time and energy and resources and be careful. But then when it comes to spiritual things, we'll just let everything just go as it happen as it comes. But God can and does work through plans and thoughtful strategy. He works through sermon series. He works through that structure, but He also loves to shake them up. Like, for instance, when the pastor doesn't change his shoes and is wearing tennis shoes while preaching. My dress shoes are in my office, and that was not part of the plan. But just worshiping there, I look down, and the plan is gone. But God has a way of doing that. And sometimes I have the service all figured out, and it's planned, and then Saturday or Sunday morning, God says, no, that's not how we're going to do it. And so it's important, however we are wired, God can use that, but it's important that we give it over to God in your planning, in your strategy, or in your, God, it's all up to you, and I'm not going to stress over the details. Not as an excuse for, I just don't want to do the work, or, it's not important, but I trust you, God, to show up and do big things, not because I was so wise and brilliant and such a good strategist, but because you are the God who does big things through little people like me. Listen to what Jesus' brother James says on the subject. In his letter to the early church in chapter 4 of James, starting in verse 13, James says, "Now listen, you who say, 'Today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money.' Why? You don't even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, 'If it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that.' As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes, and all such boasting is evil." If you're like me, you can struggle with this verse because it almost sounds like James is saying that planning, that strategizing, that being thoughtful, good stewards of your time and energy is not a wise thing, is not a good thing. That we aren't supposed to be intentional and purposeful when it comes to really any area of life. He talks about business, he talks about finances, he talks about living your life and making plans. But when we stop and consider, what is James doing here? What is he saying? How does this fit in with the rest of what, not only what James has to say, but the rest of what Scripture has to say? And what I think we find is that what James is critiquing here, what he is warning the church, the early church about, is not to live as if there is no God. Because that can be the great downfall of trying to be the master strategist of, I have this pretty well figured out, and live as though there is no God. Whether you believe that he's there, or you just think he's just not connected to my life, or you know what, I'm doing this pretty well on my own. And so if he's there, okay, but I have this pretty well figured out. But James is saying, don't buy into that lie that you don't need him, or that there is no God, or that he is not in control. But we need to be fully dependent upon him and to trust him. And it's not, the concern, the warning is not, don't make plans, don't be intentional, don't strategize, don't be thoughtful, don't be good stewards. Rather, it's rely on him over and above yourself. And in everything, in every line item on that agenda, on that calendar, and all plans have the asterisk, Lord willing. As great as this plan may look to me, as great as it may seem and feel to me, this is very rational, is very logical. If I say so myself, it is a good plan. It is well thought out. It is with good intentions. What could possibly be wrong with this? But if it completely disregards what God wants, who he is, what he has called me to do, that good plan can lead to my ruin. You see, so often we might say, okay, we know that, we get that. We know that we know that God exists and He has a purpose and plan. That's great, and we can just so quickly move past this passage. But so often, without realizing that this is what we're doing, we come to God and say, God, here is my plan. I'd love for you to join me. Get on the bus. Come and bless my plan. Put your stamp of approval on it. Come with me. It's a good strategy. It's a good mission. Completely taken for granted that no, it's reversed. He has the purpose and plan, that He created us and invited us to join Him on this mission. He created us, knit us together in our mother's womb with purpose. And it is He who has invited us on His bus, on His mission, to His work. And so the question is not how good of a plan I can put together and get Jesus to sign on the dotted line and get in the back seat, but no, Jesus, I want to ride in your back seat. I want to be carrying out your plan, your will, your mission. What is it that you want to do in me this year? What is it that you want to do through me? Not what I would like to accomplish, what seems good or fitting for me. And it's funny to look at James's critique of this hypothetical person and say, well, what's wrong with wanting to carry out business and wanting to succeed in business? I mean, it seems weird to conduct business hoping to fail, or not wanting to succeed, or not caring whether or not you do well. No, it's a good thing to want to do well and to be a good steward of what God's given you. It's a good thing to want to grow a business and do well. But in all things, it's not what my plan is, what my desire is, but what does He want? What has He created me for and called me to? How can I be about my Father's business? Not how can I get Him on my bus to be about my business. And what we can easily do is invite Jesus into our kingdom as one of our advisors when He has invited us into His kingdom. There is only one throne, and if He is truly King, if He is Lord, it is me who sits in the back. It is me who has to raise my hands and say, you steer the ship. You navigate. Not, this is where we're going, Jesus. This is how we're going to get there, and this is why it's good. It's so much easier to say than it is to live out. And this time of year, it's so common for us to set out these plans and to put this time and energy and thought into how we will use this year, what we will do, where we will go, how we will grow, all of these good things. And I wanted to start this year with this challenge to take all of those plans and say, Lord, scrap any piece of this or all of this if it does not bring you glory, if it is not in line with your will. Scrap my plans. You drive. You dictate where we're going and how we're going to get there. Because here's the thing. God will take us places that we never planned to go, that we may not have wanted to go. But His plan is so much more beautiful and meaningful and purposeful and fulfilling than our plans ever would be. Because He has designed us with purpose, for a purpose, much bigger than anything that we can put together on our own understanding. And so this year, as we look forward in 2026, I want to challenge you to humbly seek Him and what He wants for you, what He wants in you, and what He wants to do through you. This is important for us to do as individuals, individual followers of Jesus, to say, Lord willing, what do you want to do? But it's also so important that we collectively as a church body, as a local church, also do this together and say, God, we may have all of these great ministry ideas. We may have all of these good plans, and this is a strategy of how we would see this working out and us accomplishing that. But God, scrap all of those plans if they are not yours, if this is not where you want to take us. God, what do you want for this church body in 2026? How do you want to grow us? How do you want to shape us, use us? And how do you want to push us out of these four walls and into the community to love those around us? And so a couple years ago, we started launching our years with this special service that is geared towards prayer, where we have an opportunity to share a testimony, to come up and pray for the church, for our community, or for our loved ones as well. And also where we are intentional to pray for our leadership. And we'll have an opportunity to do that here in just a moment. But first, I just want to challenge you to be intentional about submitting to King Jesus' will, his purpose, his mission, what he's called you to this year in 2026.